The nature of us humans is we tend to think that how we see the world and what we believe and what we know is what there is, right? And we don't tend to think about what we know or what we believe as being wrong, right? Because who wants to be wrong and who wants to believe stuff we know isn't good for us? And so, what I want to talk a little bit today about is how to help people discover new information, new insights, new value without making them wrong. So I'm Todd Burrier from toddburrier.com, and you know, I've I've seen people, especially in today's world, get really messed up in this, right? They have a strong belief, a strong opinion about something, and there's so much of that in today's world because of the ability for people to voice things without having to deal really with any real-time repercussion, which is something that was not the case when I was young. Right? You had to confront whatever it was you said. You had to confront it in real time. You just couldn't throw it out in the universe. You just had to do it. But you never want to make someone wrong, right? If you make someone wrong, even if your heart is in the right place, you have the best intention, you're just doing it for their own good, you're going to alienate that person. And you're going to minimize or eliminate your opportunity to ever serve and help that person again, depending on the depth of what it is you just made them wrong about. So think about it like this. We all have our own sets of beliefs, and we all believe we're right. And maybe we are all right for us, but can we all be universally right? Absolutely not. Because if we have opposing beliefs about a certain thing, how can we all be right? So here's what you have to think about. What is a belief? You see, a belief, the best description I ever heard about it is it's just a thought that you continue to think. It doesn't necessarily make it true, right? So you can think back in the history of time, right, from the world was flat to a bunch of other beliefs that have been proven to be wrong, from everything from how the earth rotates to how the universe works, and they still don't know that, right? They say they do, but how can they prove it, right? It's just a set of hypotheses. And so depending on the depth of your belief, right? This is where, you got to be careful about how you start trying to share your beliefs in making someone else wrong. And see, you have to recognize everybody has their own unique lens. And our lenses, and I break the lens down into two areas, your static lens and your variable lens. Your static lens is like your hard drive, right? That comes from your life experiences and how you were raised and how you were conditioned, and it's slow to change, right? It's deep. It's very, very deep. And then your variable lens is more about, really like your quality of life and how you're feeling and what's going on in your universe right in this moment, right? It's very changeable day to day. And so everybody has this, right? Everybody has this stuff, and this is how they're seeing the world. And so, we have so many polarizing topics in the world today that people have very strong opinions about. And, again, depending on your heart, you may be concerned about someone because their opinion, you don't believe their opinion is going to help them very much, and you'd like to help them out. But you can't make them wrong, right? You can't say, look, you're wrong in what you see, and let me show you why. They're not going to be receptive of that. And so let me help you understand very simply how to nudge them a little bit in a positive way, where you're only helping the relationship and giving them an opportunity to discover something that they could then determine was a new set of information that would be of value to them, because that's really how it works. So you have to think about it like this. In every interaction, you have three layers that are going on. And so if you're having a conversation with someone, the first thing there has to be is some measure of trust. Now, depending on the person and the depth of the conversation and the topic of the conversation, there might not need to be much, or there might need to be a lot between the two people, even for the conversation to begin. But where people go wrong is they barge into a conversation and they just tell them, like, hey, this is the way it is. This is what I found out. You're wrong to do that because this is what's going to happen to you, and this is what I learned, and this is what's going on. And people are just resisting, and in essence, in many cases, getting pissed off and getting alienated and saying, you know what, heck with you. I don't even want to talk to you. Whereas if you come into it and you say, tell me about this. Tell me why you feel this way about this, right? Tell me what your experience has been about this, or how you came to this, or why you believe this. Then you're going to give this person an opportunity to share. And what you do is listen. You don't interrupt. You don't speak over. You just dive right in there, focus, and listen to what they have to say deeply. And ask clarifying questions. So, are you saying this? Or and what do you mean by that? And so, how did that work out for you? Or what has that led to in your life? And you ask open ended questions inside of this discussion as they're sharing what they believe, and they will go deeper. Now, what is occurring here is multiple things. One, their trust level is growing, and your rapport with them is growing because you're listening to them, and most people don't. But second of all, by asking the clarifying questions and really listening, not just listen for, a window so you can talk, you are showing them that you value their opinion, that you respect what they have to say, and that you are trying deeply to understand their perspective. This is a massive thing because what you're doing is building emotional equity in this discussion, and this person will want to know your input at some point because you've earned it with them. And so after you've gone through this process, you may get an opportunity to offer something, or you may not. And you know what? Both of them need to be okay. Now, maybe a circumstance where you're in a conversation that's been specifically arranged because it's for business. That's different. But I'm talking about in general, right? And I'll give you some things, some nuggets here to help you in either way. But you have to come to every conversation from a kindness perspective, an honesty perspective, and a respectful perspective, because people are entitled to their beliefs. They're entitled to their opinion. They're entitled to live their life the way they want to live. And you, in no way, shape, or form, are entitled to tell them different. They have to want you to tell them different, or they have to want you to share their perspective or share your perspective. And then so the next layer of that is you need some empathic skills, which I teach a little bit of in the 3 Circles Living. I teach it in the training that I do for companies, and I'll teach it in coaching too with people who are struggling with that area. But you need some empathic skills to do this well. And that is one of the best interpersonal skills you could possibly have is to be able to communicate truly empathically. That is taking interpersonal skills to a whole nother level. People who are excellent empathic communicators, everybody wants to be around those people because they feel good talking to them, even if they disagree. And so once you've been in the discussion a while, you can ask what led you to that, or so how's that working out, or that must really be working for you, whatever. And then if they don't give you an opportunity, but you really want to share something, then you can nudge them. In many cases, a natural opportunity will open. And again, if it's in a business circumstance, there's going to come a time for you to talk anyway, right? Because you will have centered that conversation around the belief related to what your topic is. But you can just say simply something like, I really appreciate you sharing that with me, and I totally respect, that's your perspective. My experience has been a little bit different, and if you'd like to hear it, I'm happy to share in case there's something here that'd be helpful for you. That's it, right? And if they want to, if they want to hear what you have to say because you've earned it, they'll say, yeah, I'd like to hear what you think about it. But why? Because you respectfully listen to them. And then you can share your experience and what you discovered, right? This is the big end nugget here. In your experiences, you share what you've discovered and how that's worked for you. Now, what you're doing is you're not saying you don't know this. You're allowing them, through hearing your experiences, which is your story essentially around the topic, because they get emotional into that, right? That's how human beings are wired. They suddenly look at that like, oh, I never thought about it that way, because they're not resisting you. They're in the midst of hearing you and feeling you. And then you have now planted a seed of something that they now can discover. And their discovering something is adding to their information. And that doesn't make what they previously thought wrong, or it might. It just allows them to look at what they previously believed in a new light without telling them to. This is very, very, I just gave you a golden nugget that can be massive for you in anything that you do. But, you have to work at it, right? You have to practice it. So get yourself skilled up a little bit and follow that platform, and it'll make a huge, huge difference in helping people discover and not making them wrong and not getting in the muck and trying to be in the who's right and who's wrong discussions. I hope that was helpful for you. If you need some coaching, reach out to me. If you haven't read Three Circles Living yet, I strongly suggest it. Obviously, I wrote it, but it does work. All right, it really works. It might make a big difference in your life. Thanks for being here. Take care.